What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of our weekly NFL breakdown of these prime time games. Maybe throw in an extra game there every now and then. I am joined, as always, by Lou Finicaro. You can follow him at Gamblou, that's Gamblou on X, as well as visit gamblou.com to see what else he has going on in the betting world. My name is Chris Farley, and you can follow me at Farley Bets on X, formerly known as Twitter, where I provide a lot of various content and insight from the betting world. Lou, I just have to ask you from the very start of our show today about some of the things that are just happening in the NFL through the first 3 weeks, which are fairly unprecedented. For the first time in over 70 years, the biggest underdog in each of the first 3 weeks all won outright. We're talking dogs of 6+, 12-1 against the spread, dogs of 7+, 4-1 straight up and against the spread. And of course, that has resulted in a lot of disappointed Survivor contestants. I know Circus Survivor had over 14,000 people. That is down to 642 contestants through 3 weeks. I know I'm a part of another one at Bet Online, Lou. It had 38,000. That's down to 2,000. So, you've been in this industry a little while. I'm sure you've seen everything from every different direction, but have you ever seen anything quite like this?
Well, Chris, that's really great observation. And what I will say is maybe the dynamic of this much inconsistency at the beginning of this year is interesting, and it's a blip on my 40-year radar. But I've been drugged behind the mail truck by a chain for 40 years. And so the accumulation of the inconsistencies I've seen in the NFL over the course of all those decades, this doesn't surprise me. And if we go back to a couple of the concepts we've talked about on this show from its beginning, early on, the foundation was that the easiest way to begin earning in the NFL from week one is to understand you know nothing. And the people that don't believe that are now wondering what the heck has happened because they thought they knew something. A guy like me that knew I knew nothing, and coupled that with kind of hating the money, have found their way into decent success. And that's only because I've got my finger on the pulse of what and how inconsistent the NFL can be. And as soon as you can learn to trust that and hate the money, that's why if you go into the water cooler at work and talk to your buddies and you can find the one game that you can tell them that they'll laugh you out of the room with, you got a winner.
Yeah, the hate your money mentality has certainly been working. I remember last week I was kind of chuckling about the Commanders against the Bengals. Of course,
Yeah.
Joe Burrow and the Bengals, or under Joe Burrow, they've never started 0-3. Well, there's a first time for everything, right, Lou? And Jaden Daniels, former LSU quarterback, facing off against a fellow LSU quarterback rival. Maybe that has something to do with it, but boy, did he look good last night. But the upsets continue, and we shall march on throughout this NFL season because we're at week 4 now. So we're only 3 weeks through with all this madness, and we're going to go to Thursday night football to talk about the Dallas Cowboys visiting my New York Giants. I'm a fan of the Giants, which always makes me hesitant to bet on them. But right away, we saw this line drop from 6 to 4.5. Now it's leveled back, seeing some buyback on the Dallas Cowboys, 5.5, mostly across the board, and the total's at 45. I'll just start by saying this, Lou. Again, as a Giants fan, I know how comfortable Dak Prescott has been at MetLife Stadium, at the Meadowlands. He's won his last 6 games there. They averaged 31 points per game in those last 6 games. You would have to go back to December 2016 is the last time Dak Prescott lost at the Giants' home field. So, although a lot of that history doesn't really matter much overall when it comes to this season, maybe it matters a little bit for the Cowboys' confidence, and they like to get right against these New York Giants. But, man, it just doesn't seem like the same Cowboys team, does it, Lou? I mean, you got, their offensive line has issues. Their defense can't stop anybody. And at least now the Giants are coming off a positive result. Their defense had 8 sacks against the Browns last Sunday. So, of course, the fan in me and where we saw the spread go immediately wants to take the Giants. I don't take the Giants in these spot. I usually just pass. But what say you about Cowboys and Giants on Thursday night?
Old, tired saddles like me love division games, and we love even more than a division game, the division dog. These teams know each other. They've hated each other since I was in diapers, for crying out loud. They didn't even have diapers when I was a kid. So there's history here. And I think you're right in noting the huge overreaction after Dallas gets blistered last week against Baltimore. The look ahead line a week ago, and this line was 6.5. Dallas given. Then for just until an hour ago, you could have got Dallas at a 2-point discount given the 4.5. Now there's been a little buyback on Dallas from people that do this and bet early in the week. I would tend to think that's sharp money. The total's reduced a little. It's hard on Tuesday to give solid, firm efforts, but because this game is Thursday, I do have a practice report, and 2 starting cornerbacks for the Giants are dinged up, and that's something to watch because the Cowboy offensive line is poor. And really, when you look, I'm going to introduce a term today called DVOA. I am not a modeler. However, I use analytics in my approach to the NFL, and I just use Aaron Schatz's analytics, and it's called DVOA. And just to simplify what DVOA is, I'll explain it like this. If it's 1st and 10 and you run for 4 yards, that's a positive play. If it's 4th and 2 and you run for 4 yards, that 4 yards means a little more. And so he weights his data, and I've come to trust it, and I've learned to use it as my basis for getting into the brass tacks. And when I look at the well-rounded nature of these teams, I see that Dallas comes in unlike they've come in past years, and that they're not that good a team right now. Now, the data is young, and there's not enough to really count on this, but just looking, 24th ranked out of 32 teams, Dallas offense, 28th ranked defense, and their rush defense is 32nd. So right. Dallas is sick after 3 games. Meanwhile, you look at the Giants, 19th ranked offense, 14th ranked defense. They're on paper, based on the analytics, the more balanced team after 3 games. And so what that does is really kind of set me up to the point where I still favor the Giants a little bit. They're a division. They're at home. They're taking a team on that really has to get the monkey off their back. And so I think the pressure's on Dallas, not the Giants. Tend to lean that way to the Giants.
Yeah, I like it. I'm not going to take my Giants because after they, if they don't cover this line, then the household is just extra sad, if you know what I mean, Lou, from a fan and a betting perspective. But I do like what you pointed out about this game from an offensive perspective, right? You got Dak Prescott who's very comfortable in this venue. Obviously, the Cowboys want to get right after that. 2 cornerbacks, as you mentioned, are banged up for the Giants. And even though they got a lot of pressure last week, Dallas is number 1 in the NFL in pass attempts per game. I think they're going to try and air it out right away and be aggressive from the get-go of this game. And then I love what the Giants did in the short passing game last week against Cleveland. 80% of those plays, as far as the passing game goes, came from that short passing attack. It was successful. That's where Dallas struggles. I kind of like the over in this one, Lou. It's sitting there right at that kind of dead number of 45 between two sides of the key numbers for overs and unders, but I think we're going to see some points in this one, as always. Now, it's a divisional game, right? These teams like to hit each other, et cetera. But I think both offenses are going to have advantage in this contest, and that's probably the only thing I'm going to be looking at in this one. Let's move on to the Sunday night football game. Really marquee game here between 2 teams that are feeling pretty good right now, Lou. You got Baltimore hosting the Buffalo Bills. Baltimore really completely dominated the Cowboys from the first to third quarter. Now, the fourth quarter kind of got conservative, allowed Dallas to come back and score 3 straight touchdowns in that game. But the Ravens controlled pretty much the entire thing. I think if that game was close, we don't see that fourth quarter go that way, right? And then on the other end, the Buffalo Bills, I can't even say dominated, Lou. I want to say annihilated. Jacksonville, that was the game for me. This week I had another poor week overall, but as a Sharps like the Jaguars. I like the Jaguars. I figured that was the game where they would step up. No way, right? The Bills completely ran a train over them. And that one, and Josh Allen is putting forth his best effort for an early MVP ticket. So hard to get in front of either one of these 2 teams, Lou. Totals around 46. What do you see in this one?
What I basically see is a team in Buffalo that's undefeated, looking good, believing in themselves, and comes in with momentum. And I see a team in Baltimore. Again, this look ahead line is kind of unchanged. Baltimore a week ago was 1.5. And now, after people have seen the reaction over the weekend, they're now 2.5. Let me ask you something. What has Buffalo done? Baltimore is the favorite. They've gone up a point. What has Buffalo done to diminish confidence in their team in the last week? Nothing. So I'm going to be quiet as a church mouse and hope that this thing would even tick up to 3. But Buffalo plus points is stupid, and Buffalo teased up from 2.5 through 3, 4, 6, 7 to 8.5. I think is really also a stellar move. It's not advised. It's not a Wong teaser to say because it's a road team. But I live by the old Springsteen adage: when they said sit down, I stood up. And I learned a lot of lessons the hard way because I don't listen or follow the group. But I don't have any problem whatsoever teasing a road team from a 2.5 to an 8.5 when I got a good team that's well rounded.
Yeah, we're talking about that Jersey boy, Bruce Springsteen, before the show today. I like that quote there, Lou, and I agree with you. I mean, how could you turn away from a teaser leg on the Buffalo Bills? And there's also some other prime candidates, right? You got Tampa Bay at home responding off of a bad loss. You got a team like the Vikings, who really haven't given us any reason not to like them either, at Green Bay. That should be a fascinating game. So some good quality teaser legs out there and available, that's for sure. That's an excellent one, I must say, at Baltimore on Sunday night. All right, let's go to maybe a little less intriguing of a game, Lou. The Tennessee Titans, who are just finding ways to shoot themselves in the foot every single week. They are depending on the book, they're +1, -1. Pick them. You got to shop around depending on which side you want there. And the total is around 36 and a half. Visiting the Miami Dolphins, right? And Mike McDaniel came out today and said that maybe Tyler Huntley gets the nod this week. I think there has to be some sort of change for the Miami Dolphins. Two things I'm looking at from a situational perspective or a psychological perspective, you might say too, Lou. Last year, right, this was the Titans team who they went to Miami. The Dolphins are 14-point favorites. They're looking to cruise into the playoffs and maybe get a much higher seed. And there's the Titans who kind of ruined that for them, right? So they don't forget that happened last season. At the same time, you see these weird situations, right? Like maybe the Commanders and Bengals this past week where teams just kind of stack up against another team or match up really well against another program. So maybe that's the Titans with the Dolphins. At the same time, Mike McDaniel's head is on a swivel right now, Lou. I mean, he's all over the media, people really questioning his coaching prowess and style. Miami coming back home, I want to bet on them. Maybe they qualify as another teaser leg, but these are two teams who are just very difficult to bet on right now in general.
Yeah, really tough, and really the quarterback situation for Miami is everything. I mean, their whole being is now kind of wiped out. I mean, you're looking at a Miami team that's 28th rushing, 28th passing, and how's that going to get better with a quarterback that coming off the street? Even Skylar Thompson's hurt, so this is a tough one, and it's one by which I would really normally want to see Tennessee, a team with pride that wants to get up off the ground, get off the schneid, at least get a win under their belts. That said, they were getting 2.5 a week ago, and now it's a pick because of that quarterback situation. What a perfect game to just run away from fast as you can, because I don't have anything intelligent to say about it, but I'll learn more from watching it than betting it.
Yeah, I think, hopefully for Mike McDaniel's sake, they put out a better product because they did not look good in Seattle. Will Levis, also Lou, his job might be on the line at the end of the season if he keeps on playing that way. Might want to hold on to the money coming out of those mayonnaise commercials there, Will Levis. All right, let's move on to the final game that we'll talk about today, the Seattle Seahawks visiting the Detroit Lions. This was a great game last season. I believe it was week 2 or week 3. An overtime game where Seattle pulled it out. I doubt that the Lions forget about that. Lions are getting 4 points here. They're 4-point chalk at home. Totals at 47 now. Now, this total has been interesting because it opened around 48, I believe, went down around 46, 46 and a half. Now it's back up to 47. I kind of want to take the under in this one, Lou, because that was a offensive showcase last season. We're seeing the Detroit defense is getting better every week, it seems. Obviously, a Mike McDonald coach defense there in Seattle. I think they're only going to get better as well. And then I could see this be a potential playoff matchup, right? I mean, the Detroit Lions are still at the top of the NFC as far as their odds go to win it all. Seattle's 3-0, and they're looking good. This should be a very, very good game that I'm excited to watch. Probably not going to watch a lot of the other one on Monday Night, Lou. I'll have my TV on this one. What do you got on the Seahawks and Lions?
Yeah, I'm interested in this game, and I do like it, and all your points are salient. However, I'm just gonna start to begin to believe that maybe I might know a little something, and the little something that here's something I feel strongly about. Detroit's quarterback got issues right now. I mean, their passing offense ranked 28th in the league, and 20th, and that shouldn't be. Goff has not been there. The wide receiver's a little bit inconsistent. The 13th ranked offense, however, they're going against a great Seattle defense that's really held up its end of the bargain. They are third against the run, first against the pass, and I think Seattle philosophically wants to play a game just like Tomlin does and beat you 19-17 with running game and defense. And Detroit's going to run into that with inconsistent offense. And so I do like your under, and I think it's 47 currently, but I don't believe it'll be 47 by game time. I bet you it's 46 or maybe 45 and a half. So I've already taken the under 47 on this game. I do like the under here. I think Detroit's going to struggle against Seattle, but in the long run, I think that Detroit is a team that I still trust can run at an ascent. And Seattle's a team I doubt that can continue to be undefeated. I don't think that the floor is going to fall out, but I'm not quite sure that Seattle's as good as their record indicates right now.
Yeah, I love the point that you made about Jared Goff and the Lions offense, because it's not like they faced a bunch of juggernaut defenses so far, right? I mean, week one, the Rams defense, we know how poor their defense is at this point. At least they rank in the bottom three in a lot of categories. And then they face Tampa Bay and Arizona defenses. These are not top tier defenses, and we're still seeing kind of a slow start for that Lions offense, where on the other hand, right, the Lions defense really stepping up, especially last week, and holding off the Cardinals as they look to have a comeback there. So very interesting. I love the take on low score. Love that you agree with me, Lou, that's for sure. And I know that I'll probably be looking to Seattle side here. I don't have a ticket just yet, but I don't want that line to move down. I like that we're getting over a 3 in that one. Well, you heard it here again for another week on this show at sportsbed.io. Every week, I think you're going to hear some great quotes from Lou. We got a Bruce Springsteen in there. You got to heat your money, Lou. I love it. I'm taking these with me every single week. We'll see you again next week for week 5, where we cover a few games as well. For Lou Finicaro, I'm Chris Farley. Good luck with all your bets this week.